Hi everyone, my name is Iben and welcome to another video on the road to Planet Zoo 2. I'm finally able to share this video with you. This is my wish list for the birds in Planet Zoo 2 and I'm really excited to share it with you. I do want to say one thing. I know I'm in my 30s and you are supposed to magically be into birds once you reach your 30s. But I'm going to admit it to you all, I'm really not that into birds. So the choices that you'll see in this video are pretty much the standard ones. These are the ones that I like to see in zoos. I don't have a broad knowledge of birds, so you're gonna see the standard ones. Please don't judge me for that. This video is going to have the same setup as the last video. I've got 30 birds that I would love to see in the sequel, and I'm going to rank them based on when I would like to see them. We have 3 categories once again. The launch category, which is all the animals that I would like to see in the base game or in the first DLC of the year. And then category 2, which is the first year of DLC, and the third category is the second year of DLCs. I'm not going to speculate too much about more years than that, but from the looks of it, Planet Zoo 2 already looks pretty darn amazing, so I hope we're in for a bunch more years of DLCs. Okay, let's start ranking these. I'm going to start with the Andean condor. I think that's a really cool animal and I really want to see it in the game, but I don't think I need it at launch. I think I can wait for the first year of DLCs. Next up, the bald eagle. I think it's a zoo staple, a lot of zoos have it, and I'm going to do a bold prediction here, but I think the first DLC will probably be themed around North America because it fits with the usual winter themed DLCs that we get in December. So I'm going to put the bald eagle at launch, but I am assuming that it's going to come in the first DLC of the game because it's a very popular animal and it can really carry a DLC on its own, in my opinion. The bald ibis is one of the most beautiful birds I've ever seen in my life. You wouldn't think of it when you see it in a picture because the feathers just look matte and black here, but they look so beautiful when the light shines up on them. I think it's a magnificent bird and I really want to see it. I think, however, I can wait for the first year of DLCs in terms of the bald ibis. It's a really cool animal, but if we get another ibis first, then I would be perfectly fine about that. The blue and yellow macaw is a staple in zoos, and honestly, it's an easy base game animal for me. I think it should be in there right from the start. The cockatoo is the same for me. I don't really care which specific species that we're getting, but I do think it's one of those animals that just needs to be in at launch, so I'm going to put it in the base game category. The eagle owl, in my opinion, is one of the coolest owls that you can have, and I think it's reasonable to put it in the base game part because I think that game does have to start with at least one owl species. So I'm going to put it in there because it makes the most sense to me. The Egyptian geese is another classic that I've seen in quite a few zoos, and I think it also even works as a non-aviary animal, but it's one of those animals that I can really wait for, so I wouldn't mind it if it's in year 2, to be honest. Any species of eiderduck would be amazing. In the Zoo of Antwerp there is now a combination exhibit of them and sturgeons and it looks absolutely gorgeous and insane. I do think that I can wait for them, so I think I'm going to put them in year 1 because as much as I'm willing to wait for them, I don't want to wait 2 years for them. I really love these animals and I think the combination with an animal like a sturgeon is really cool. The golden pheasant is the one pheasant species that I really want to see in these games. I am not really in a rush to get them, however, so again I'm going to put it in year 1. I think I can live without a pheasant for a while. I think the other birds are a little bit more important to me. I think that the game should launch with at least one vulture species, and if I get to choose, then it should be a griffon vulture, so I'm going to put it in the launch section. However, I do hope that we're going to see a lot more vulture species in the future because they're really cool animals and it's nice to have them in these games. The Hamerkop for me is another classic that I really would love to see. So I think I want to put it in year 1 because I'm okay with waiting a little bit for them, but I hope it's like the first DLC that we get in that year. Like if it's an animal that's in the spring DLC, then it would be fine. I don't think I want to wait until like the end of year 1 to finally get a Hamerkop. The Inca tern is an animal that I'm really biased by because it's a bird with a mustache. I mean, I can't put it anywhere else than in the launch section, even though I know that it's probably an animal that would appear in year 1 or year 2. So just for my own sake, I'm going to put it in the launch section. But frankly, if I'm realistic about it, I don't think it's an animal that will get on launch. The Kookaburra is another animal that I think is really essential for a zoo game. However, I think I could wait for it for like a year, so I'm going to put it in year 1, but hopefully we'll get it as soon as possible. Again, it's an animal that I don't need right away, but I don't want to wait years for either. The lorikeet is a magnificent animal, and I think it's really cool when you're inside of an aviary and you have a bunch of them flying your way and passing by. I've had one that flew right by my ear and that was absolutely insane. I genuinely hope that the petting mechanism that was introduced in the Barnyard pack was actually a refactored version of interacting with aviary animals. So I'm going to put it in the launch section because I do think it really belongs in there. The Luzon bleeding heart is one of the coolest birds in my opinion. It's a really beautiful species and I always like it when zoos have them, but it is an animal that I can wait for quite a while, so I'm thinking about putting it in year 2. As long as it gets added at one point, I'm totally fine with that. I just think that I can wait for a bit until we get it in the game. Realistically, I think the game should launch with at least multiple species of ducks. But I think that looking at it from a DLC perspective, the Mandarin duck would really work well in a East Asia DLC. So I think I'm going to put it in year 1. I think I'm willing to wait for that one for just a bit, even though it's a really cool animal. Before we continue with the marabou, I did add the shoebill in here as well. After seeing the secretary bird, it kind of clicked to me that this would be an aviary animal. And the reason why I'm talking about it now is because the marabou is an animal that I'm willing to wait for until year 2, as long as we get the shoebill first. I think marabous are really cool. I just think that shoebills are even cooler than that. So year 2 is fine for me, but anything earlier than that would also perfectly work. The Nicobar pigeon is also really cool, but if I have to choose between the Nicobar pigeon and the Victorian crown pigeon, I think I'm going to move this one to year 2. It is going to be a tough wait though, and if it's earlier than that, then that would be great, but I think I can wait at least a little bit. The puffin I'm going to put in year 1, I believe. It's one of those animals that I think works well in a kind of colder DLC, and this would be an animal that I think would work for the 2nd December DLC that we're getting. It would be a tough wait because I really like these animals, but hey, I'm willing to do it. The ruddy duck here is a really cool species that I'm again willing to wait for, but I would really love to see in the game. I think I'm going to put it in year 2 because it is such a beautiful species, but I think I can wait for it and have a more common species instead in an earlier section in this ranking. Scarlet ibis is a very simple choice. This has to be in there on launch. This feels like one of those typical aviary species that we just have to have right from the start because it really combines so well with other animals. And this frankly isn't the only ibis that I want to see. Of course, I already have the bald ibis in there as well, but other ibis species should also be added later on in the future. But I do want to start with the scarlet ibis simply because it's so iconic. Speaking about iconic animals, the scarlet macaw, it has to be on launch. It has to be there right from the start. It has to be a base game animal for me. I know that they are really popular and that they would be able to carry a DLC on their own, but frankly, it should be there from the start. I wouldn't be able to wait for that. As I mentioned earlier, shoebills, that should be a launch animal. I love it so much. It's such a unique animal, and I'm very lucky that I've been able to see this animal in a few zoos so far. So I'm really hoping that we get this in the first year of development, so in the launch year. That would be absolutely great. Now, I really want a snowy owl, and in theory I would want to put it in the launch section, but I think realistically we'll probably end up waiting for them for at least a year, because they are a big animal that they can use in a December DLC. So I'm going to put it in year 1, but begrudgingly. I think if possible and we get like 2 owls in the base game, then that has to be the second owl species. The spoonbill is another bird that I would rather see sooner than later, but I'm realistically going to put it in year 1 as well, simply because I could see it happening as a DLC animal, even though I honestly would have put it in the base game as well. Stellar sea eagles are really cool, but because we would already have 3 species of eagle, I think realistically it will probably end up being one of the year 2 DLC animals, so I'm going to put it in there. Though honestly, I would prefer to see it sooner than that. I've really warmed up to stellar sea eagles. They look really cool in real life. The storks is a unique one because I want it as an actual animal, but I also really want a stork nest that I can place down. And if you do so, storks will fly to those nests and it will be just a completely free-flying animal. It's not an animal that's part of your zoo, but it's like one of those ambient animals that we've seen in Zoo Tycoon 2. So I'm going to put it in year 1, but I would really love to see it as a stork's nest object that we can freely place wherever we want. Turoccos are really cool birds. I think they look absolutely gorgeous, and whilst I would want to have them as soon as possible, I think I'm going to put them in year 2, just to be realistic. But honestly, if we can get them sooner than that, that would be great. The Victorian crowned pigeon for me is a base game animal. I think it looks so cool and it's one of the most striking birds out there, and I think it really fits in a zoo setup. So yeah, base game for me. And the whistling duck is the same for me. It's a very common duck species that I've seen in quite a few zoos, and it is exotic enough for people to just like it instantly. So whistling duck will be a base game animal for me. I know that ducks don't always interest everyone, but a whistling duck looks really cool, so I think it would be a good essential duck species at the start of the game. So this is my ranking for these 30 bird species that I would like to see in the game. Let me know what your ranking is. Again, I am not a bird person. I don't know that much about birds, so my ranking is purely based on a bunch of birds that I've seen in zoos and the ones that I really want to use in my future projects. So it's completely influenced by that. I know that there's a bunch of birders in my community and I know you are really obsessed with them. So just let me know, which animals would you like to see? Do everything you want to do, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video on the road to Planet Zoo 2.